Thank you for tuning in to Love in Your Hands with Cynthia Clark, the podcast about how to live life with love, passion, and purpose. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to heal your emotional past, identify real compatibility, and find long-lasting love through the merging of ancient science, modern technology, and quantum physics. Tired of superficial connections? Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today at loveinyourhands.com. Now here's your host, Cynthia Clark, palm reading consultant, compatibility expert, and heart harmonizer. Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Cynthia Clark, and I am so excited about today's special guest, which I'm going to bring in just a minute. I want to start out with a little palm reading lesson because, of course, your hands tell you everything about who you are. And one of the things that a lot of people have questions about is the elements that show up in the hands. And today we're going to be talking about there's two different systems out there. So we have the 4-element system, which of course would be air, fire, water, and earth. Okay, and that, by the way, not only shows up, I talk about it mainly as a hand shape, and it does show up as a hand shape, but you also have elements in other parts of your hand. So for example, you can think of your lifeline, which is of course your major line in hand that wraps around your thumb ball region. That can also be called the earth line. Okay, you've got your head line, which goes down the middle part of your hand. That's also called the air line. And you've got your heart line, which is your emotional flow up here at the top of your hand. That could be considered the water line. And then, of course, we have the fate line, which is the line that runs straight up to your middle finger, represents your attitude towards work and your career. And that can be considered a fire line. So you can also subdivide the hand into what we call quadrants. And those can also be considered elemental quadrants. So for example, this lower section here by the thumb, this is the earth quadrant. And then we've got the lower section over here by the wrist, but farther away, that's the water quadrant. Then we've got up here by the little finger, that's the air quadrant. And then over here by the index finger, that's the fire quadrant. And you can further divide. It's actually pretty amazing how you can take the hand and you can literally split it up into different elements all over the place. It's so amazing when you think about that. And each of these elements represent a different aspect of you and different ways of looking at yourself. And so when you look at the hands, it's actually, it teaches you about yourself. And when you can understand more about yourself, you can make better decisions in your life. You can find out what's going to make you happy. You can understand your talents, your potentials. You can look at health aspects. It's so amazing, all the things that show up in your hands. But yeah, I thought it would be kind of fun just to point out the different elements that show up. And everybody has, multiple elements, of course, but we do have dominant elements as well. And that's what we look at when we look at our personality and what's going on. So the 5-element system, I think of that more as like a Chinese system. Which actually, by the way, palmistry could have originated in China. We're not 100% sure, but to me, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's over 5,000 years old, probably even older than that. It's been around forever. And there is a 5-element system that also is observed in palmistry. And if you go to China, that's what they're going to look at. And so the difference between the 5 elements and the 4 elements is we have a metal and a wood element in place of an air element, but otherwise it's the same. So, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it, which is really fun. So today I am excited to bring in our very special guest. We have Johanna Alper, and she is the healer's coach. She coaches holistic practitioners, therapists, and heart-centered entrepreneurs to attract more clients, prosper, and become the transformational teachers and leaders that this world is crying out for. She has had a successful 5-element classical acupuncture practice and teaching business in Boulder, Colorado since 1981. So welcome to the show, Johanna. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Cynthia. I'm so delighted to be here and get a chance to speak with you and your audience.
Yeah, well, I love acupuncture. I have a little acupuncture story that I'd like to share, actually, if you don't mind. Because a lot of people don't realize how amazing it can be. It can totally change your life in like 20 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. I actually was skiing one day, and I'm a huge avid expert skier. And I was skiing in a blizzard. And it was probably, I don't know, it was coming down so hard. And there was probably about 2 feet of powder, like already on the slope. Whoa. And I ended up in a mogul field. And I couldn't see anything. And I ended up hitting a mogul really hard because I just wasn't expecting it. And my knees ended up coming all the way up to my chin. And I literally banged myself so hard that I got whiplash.
Oh dear.
And it was, like getting hit by a car. So anyway, I got home and I was in tremendous pain. Mm-hmm. I ended up going to see an acupuncturist. And I'm like, I know this can fix this. And he was this really adorable Chinese guy who had been doing it for years and years. And he, he did some points on my feet, and he did some points on my, different points. They were just they were not on my neck is kind of the point that I'm getting to. Like you would think, oh, wouldn't you go to the source? And I was like, no, we're going to be mainly in your feet. And I'm like, really? And anyway, I was better within minutes. It was totally amazing. Mm-hmm. The pain was completely gone. I was just like, wow. And the pain, the points that he was poking were quite painful when he was putting the needles in, but I was amazed at how fast it actually worked. So that's my acupuncture story.
I'm glad it was so helpful for you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into what you're doing?
Well, I am a child of the 60s, being a hippie and a dancer in college and interested in holistic health before most people had really heard about it. And that was the 60s. And I was interested in a lot of ways to help the world become better and to relieve suffering, but also to have a lot of fun, which the 60s were about. And I was interested in holistic health. And after I graduated from college, I asked my parents if they would consider helping me go to acupuncture school, which I'd heard about. And they said, no, I had to do something serious like social work or physical therapy or nursing school or something. So I actually tried nursing school a little, but it was totally not for me because I've always been interested in solutions that are outside of the box and things that maybe haven't come into the forefront yet. So I've been a pioneer. I started meditating in 1971 and have been doing that for over 50 years, teaching as well as practicing mindfulness and compassion meditation. And acupuncture came in as a healing modality that's based really on Oriental ideas, but is totally universal. And I actually began acupuncture school in end of 79, early 1980, and have been practicing and teaching pretty much ever since then. And I've found that it's incredibly complementary for any other healing modality. But what it does is it works along with nature and all of the elements of nature to help us heal, because the acupuncture doesn't do the healing. Acupuncture removes blockages so our bodies can heal themselves.
Yes, I love that concept because aren't we designed to be healthy? I mean,
We
it's meant
are,
to
of
work.
course,
Yeah.
to find our balance, and otherwise we wouldn't have lasted for these hundreds of millions and billions of years as life, as life
Right.
forms.
Yeah, so we just have to get things out of the way and then
Right,
let our body do what it needs to do. It's just
exactly.
such a miracle what our bodies are capable of doing.
Absolutely. We're designed for life. That's why we're here. And that's why we keep continuing being able to heal if we have a accident or a little cut or whatever. Nature knows how to heal through us. We are nature, as nature's outside, of course, and but it's inside of us. And it's organized. The Chinese medical system is organized according to yin and yang, active and receptive, but also according to the five elements, all of the organs, organ systems, and so forth are about the five elements. So if you're going to grow a garden, you need the sun, you need the earth, you need the minerals, the metals in the earth, you need the seeds, which are the wood, you need the water, and not too much water, not too little water. They all have to be in balance and connected because life needs all of the elements. Otherwise, a garden can't function and we cannot either.
Well, that makes sense. So, so why don't you take us through the five elements just briefly, and how do they apply to what you're doing now, and how do you use them? I'm very
Okay.
interested.
Well, the five elements are actually in Oriental medical theory, they're actually energies. They're not elements, nouns, things, although our heart can be considered a thing, a noun. Our heart is connected to the fire element, but really it's about energies and seasons and phases of um, healing and growth and existence, because we have an underlying energetic aspect or blueprint that's connected to the five elements also. And that occurs before anatomy and physiology and mind and emotions and spirit actually occur. So I had been practicing this medicine for a long time and also teaching at acupuncture schools. And I began coaching because I was heartbroken to see graduates of the school where I was teaching. They were incredible healers and they weren't able to get their practices going. So I started to learn coaching. And as I was learning coaching and coaching people, I realized that our businesses are living systems and have all the five elements in them. So I'll run briefly through how the five elements connect in a business.
Hmm.
First is the fire element, which connects to our heart. And it's about passion, joy, play, love. It's in a business, it's about our brand, about our personality, our particular unique brilliance, our spirit and passion, because people don't choose hand reading or acupuncture or coaching. They choose a person that they resonate with or have heard about who from someone else who they resonate with. So the fire element is about getting our brand out, getting our passion and fire and heart out into the marketplace.
Hmm.
The earth element, just like the great mother serves us all, the earth element is about service. It's also about support and nourishment, but it's the earth element in our business is about our niche, who we serve, the problems we solve or offerings that we give, and also having a signature system so that we can go beyond just one by one session marketing, having ways to serve to help people in unique ways. So, for instance, in general, in medicine, people don't want to see a generalist if they need a specialty done. So our signature system is about having a specialized way of healing people in particular, or
Yeah, that
whatever
makes
we're
sense.
offering.
Mhm.
So the earth element is about our niche, how we show up in service, just like the Great Mother.
Mm.
The metal element has to do with prosperous money flow. It's also, metal is also connected to air somewhat.
Mhm.
And, but I don't want to go into too many details, but the metal element is in business connected to prosperous money flow. And let's face it, as healers, heart inspired entrepreneurs, change makers, people who really care about making a difference in this world, we often have a PhD in giving, but are in kindergarten in receiving.
Mhm.
That's what Sark, the author, says. But I found that so true because as healers, we have so much compassion and caring for the world that often we put ourselves last. And that is not helpful for creating a business, a strong business, and an impactful business, and becoming the transformational leaders, healers, and leaders that this world needs because things because we are really needed in this world and we think, oh, we're just in our offices doing our incredible healing work, but actually we have tremendous impact and capacity to play a powerful role in healing the world at this time. But because we have money blocks, that often keeps us from standing in our power in money conversations, being open to receiving. I mean, breathing is connected to the metal or air element in Chinese medicine. We need to breathe in and we need to breathe out. We can't just give and also not receive. We need to do both. And that's, I found in coaching people to be a really important element because so many people who are healers or inspired in this way, as I said, often have blocks in receiving.
Makes sense. Yes, very much so.
So to continue a little, I know this is is this too much or is this
No,
good?
no, this is
Okay.
great.
Okay. So the water element in Chinese medicine is actually connected to the kidneys and it's connected to the time of winter. Deep gestation, hibernation. It's a time of shutting down. It's a time of darkness and cold. It may not be in Sedona right now, but in general, winter, especially now in the northern hemisphere, is a cold time. And it's a time where there's much less fire and sun in the world, in our part of the world. The water element is not respected in our society. We are very extroverted, um, busy, which is
Mhm.
fiery and young, and we don't necessarily respect the deep, slow night, which is also connected to the deep feminine. And the water element took me a while to realize where's that in our business. And then I understood it's about sustainability. The water element is about allowing ourselves to rest very deeply and not be constantly growing and being extroverted and moving. It's about stillness and deep rest. And also today, because there's so much available on the internet about growing a business, we can get this for free and that for free and jive around, do Facebook Lives and do um, webinars or blogging or whatever. And often people choose a lot of ways of marketing, but don't go deeply down to really choosing one major marketing strategy and following it through, learning from it, and not jumping around to the next bright and shiny object. Sounds like you're going very deeply with podcasting, Cynthia, and
Yes.
that's really awesome.
Mhm.
But when we do a little of this and a little of that and are jumping around frenetically, that isn't necessarily productive. And
Mhm.
so the water element teaches us to go very deeply and to also be relaxed and
Yeah.
have work-life balance.
Yes, I love that. That makes perfect sense too. Just thinking about business, it's like, yeah, a lot of times we try, especially as healers, we try to do everything and we try to be everything to everyone. And that doesn't work in the long run.
Right.
So, yeah, that
That's
makes
right.
perfect sense. We got to like dial in. Okay. And it was funny when I first started reading palms, I
Mhm.
thought, okay, I was just like I guess every healer out there. I'm like, I want to help everybody. Right? That was my thought.
Yeah.
And so the universe actually threw at me inappropriate people just
Ah,
so that I could get a grasp of like, this really isn't who you're supposed to be serving.
yeah.
And it was such an eye opener for me because I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to work with that person or that type
Mhm.
of person. And I started to identify who that was. It's really cool. So that was the water element trying to help me.
The water element, yes, to go deeply, but also connected to the earth element, which is about niche, really
Hmm.
identifying your ideal clients and can
Yeah,
really help, or the people that you really know are not for you, and
yeah, for sure.
inviting them to go elsewhere.
Exactly.
So kind of a combination there.
Yeah, sure.
And the last element is the wood element. And this is what differs the Oriental system from the Western
Yeah, the
system.
four element system.
Mhm.
Hmm.
The wood element is associated with the season of springtime, and it's about implement implementation. It's about activity. It's about the power of a little sprout, a seed sprouting and coming up sometimes through concrete or through hard ground. It's about activity and growth because I don't know, maybe this is not true for you, Cynthia. It sounds like you're implementing really well with your podcasts and other things. But many healers will choose to have another certification in this or that or whatever, rather than going out and inviting people in to work with them, to have enrollment conversations, which I call actually enrollment invitations because it can be done in a very heartful and genuine way. But the wood element has to do with how to actually go out and be visible in the marketplace, not just with our brand, but by going out and connecting, inviting people to work with us, and actually growing the garden of our business. Instead of, sometimes people go to networking events and they're so shy and they hand a card and say, oh, call me if you're interested, or else they buttonhole people and they think they have the only answer. But neither is an appropriate way to work with people. The best way is to be aligned, but still offer an invitation to people to work with us, whether it's networking or it's on the phone or it's whatever way we have of reaching people and inviting them to do work with us. So the wood element is about growth. It's the only one that's animate, not inanimate,
Mm.
which the other four are in a certain way, although they're also about life and seasons. So I just want to say that, to recap, um, that our businesses are living systems. And if we don't have all of the elements present, then we're much more likely to either work over hard to get our work out there, or else we're not going to be as successful as we're capable of being.
Mm. Well, that makes perfect sense. And it's good for any business owner. But I feel like especially healers, they sometimes just don't, they're so close to their business and they're so
Mhm.
heart-centered and they're so passionate about what they do that they don't necessarily understand the marketing aspects.
Mhm.
And
Right,
sometimes that can be very uncomfortable for them.
right,
So, so I can see why people they can really benefit from your work in that you can show them, okay, let's look at all of this and do it in a way that makes sense. To
right.
the healer, it's like, well, of course, this makes perfect sense, right? It's like, yeah, let's look at the elements and let's get back to the natural way of things. And,
Absolutely.
and it's so beautiful, and I love that. And so when you work with people, do you uh, I assume you do some sort of assessment to kind of see like where are they at in their different elements
Mhm.
and yeah, like what do you do with them after that?
Okay. Well, actually, I just want to say something about um, that. about healers or healer inspired people and marketing. Actually, we think we don't know anything about marketing and we're not good at it and we kind of hate it and we think it's icky, but actually it can be an incredible extension of the work and way that we work with people. And because we're so excellent at communication, we can make great rapport, which is actually the real way of marketing in this coming time. We are bombarded with marketing messages, but most people are very defended. And when we market in an authentic way like this with Medicine Buddha coaching, the way I help people market, we can be incredibly successful. Recently, a client tripled his investment in a premium program with me in less than 5 months. And we have great capacity as healers to be actually excellent at marketing, but more in a feminine way, not in an extroverted, pushy way. And as far as how people find out about the elements and how I help evaluate, my website, which is Medicine Buddha Coaching, on the navigation bar right underneath, it says take the holistic business quiz. You can click that and take a short 3-minute quiz which shows how the elements function in your business. So you go to Medicine Buddha Coaching, click, take the holistic business quiz, and you can find out very quickly about which elements are strong and which need support. And I work from that questionnaire, I can work and identify with someone what they or their business needs. And we work both on the inner levels and the outer levels. You were saying that people, healers especially, we're so close to our businesses. Of course, they're incredible expressions of us, and we're the batteries of our business. So our businesses don't exist as thingies out there. We are in a dance with our business and our service. And um, so when people then do coaching with me, we work on inner levels, to dismantle old limiting beliefs that keep us from being powerful and successful. Because sometimes these were put in place so that we would be safe and not too visible. But in fact, these are keeping us from being prosperous and powerful and making the impact we want now. So we work both on outer levels, learning how to go into the marketplace and work with people, but also dismantling those inner places that are not serving us anymore, that may have been put in place
Yeah,
originally to keep us safe, but aren't
yeah,
now.
for sure. And it's also sometimes just a matter of changing your perspective, right?
Absolutely.
Like you were talking about with the like our attitude towards marketing. It's like, well, if you think about that from the perspective of I'm here to serve and
Hmm.
to help people, I need to reach my audience and who I'm meant to serve.
Right.
That puts it in a whole different light than you're pushing a product on them or you're pushing a service on them.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you're giving them the opportunity to get to know you and the real you, which I find that's what I love about podcasting so much is like, hey, I get to like be myself and tell stories and
Yes. Great.
like I'm a real person. I'm not just some you know I don't know what you would think, but yeah, I'm not a robot out there.
Right. Right.
Right?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm an actual real person and
Mhm.
I have feelings and I've gone through stuff just like everybody else. So, that's one reason why I think I love podcasting so much.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah. And it's
Hi.
yeah, it's just so great to get to meet people like you who are,
Thank you.
also kind of in the same doing a different thing, but doing it, I love the authenticity of you and your work. Like that's
Right.
awesome.
Thank you. And I'm going to be 74 this spring. So I feel like when we're in the groove with what we're really al- heartfully aligned to be doing, it's so easy to work and enjoy ourselves and be really healthy and move forward in our lives and age with vitality. And I feel really grateful to be doing this work. I didn't know that I would start to get into coaching and marketing, but it came along organically and I'm
Mhm.
thrilled.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I love that concept too of like, if you're doing what you love
Hmm.
and if it's your purpose and your passion, which is what this podcast is all about,
Absolutely.
then you don't need to retire. You don't even think about retiring.
Right.
I mean, people ask me that sometimes, like, well, when are you going to retire? And my answer is always like, never, because I love what I do so much.
Right.
And yeah, the thought of retiring is just like not even in my vocabulary.
Right. Because what you were saying about transforming the idea of selling into service, absolutely. But at the same time, receiving money in a really congruent, excellent way also.
Yes, because
Yeah.
of course, we do live in a society and a culture where we need money to, buy goods and services. Like that's just the
Absolutely.
way of our world. So we
Right.
need to operate authentically within that world. And yeah,
Absolutely.
if we're only just giving, 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 that's not sustainable. And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and it's not being true to ourselves either, because our skills do have value, and they should be, we should be compensated for that.
Yeah. How
So
did you get into be hand analysis or hand reading, or how do you call it actually?
yeah, hand analysis.
Uh-huh.
I got
What
into
inspired you?
it was a deja vu experience. So I picked up a book on palm reading back
Uh-huh.
at the library in Salt Lake City, Utah, when I was living there. And I just felt like I had studied it before.
Ah, yes. I get
Intuitively,
it.
it was a hit, a very strong hit, that I needed to study it again. And it wasn't like
Wow.
the first time. It's like, no, 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 you've done this before many, many times. This is your thing. Now you found your thing.
Uh-huh.
And I just became incredibly fascinated by the whole, concept of hand reading, and how, your hands just were so much of a mirror of who you are in all these
Hmm.
different aspects. I thought it was so fascinating. And I
Fabulous.
couldn't wait to share it with other people, because I got excited about it. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, did you know your hands can tell you this? you know?
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that's how I got started.
Great.
So yeah. So do you have any other comments that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Well, there's incredible amount of suffering in this world, which we all know about. And as people who've chosen to make a contribution and to help those themselves and those around them to shift to a more compassionate and authentic and uplifted life, we have such an important role to play. And I, I don't want people to lose heart. And I see that many people do. They become resigned. And especially also as women, we need circles of support that where women are wired to not be just working individually so much. We need the bonding and tending and befriending of oxytocin hormone, not just adrenaline to push out and get things. We don't metabolize that very well. Men can more easily, and we have a very adrenalinized culture. We need oxytocin. We need circles of support. We need connection. We need bonding and tending and befriending. And
Mm, that's good advice.
yeah, and we need, we're trying to have a world that's going to be different. Otherwise, we're not going to be sustainable. That's the way I see it. I don't know if
Mhm.
this is resonating with you, but
Yeah, absolutely.
and so if people are interested in what I've been saying, and if they feel that they would like to speak with me, they could take the quiz that I mentioned at medicinebuddhacoaching.com. And you don't have to be a Buddhist. It's about healing and waking up. That's really what it's about. But, or I also have, if you go to medicinebuddhacoaching.as, which is acuity scheduling, you can have access to my calendar, and I offer complimentary half-hour consultations to see if the work that I'm doing could be helpful for you. But these are complimentary. There's no obligation to work with me, but it's a way that I put my work out into the world. And sometimes people choose to work with me, sometimes they don't, and they tell someone else who might be appropriate, or maybe not. So medicinebuddhacoaching.as.me if you would like to have a complimentary conversation.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been really fun
It's been
speaking with
totally
you.
wonderful.
Yeah, and thank you so much for spreading your passion and love and purpose. It's awesome. And remember, everybody out there, that you can also live life with a love, passion, and purpose. So get out there and do it. And thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to Love in Your Hands. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find the secret ingredients to your soulmate. Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today using the most innovative and accurate algorithm to match you to potential long-lasting love, all at loveinyourhands.com.